Hi, everyone. I'm Robert Politzer with Green Street NYC and EXP Commercial Brokerage. I'm here with my colleague, Stephanie Galazin, Director of Growth with EXP Commercial. Stephanie, would you like to say hello?
Hey, everybody. Sorry I missed last week, but I know it was a true value add, which is, our goal here. We've got, a lot of transitioning happening in this market, a lot of things around not only local law 97, but next week we're going to introduce the ESG and how all of that, we in commercial real estate need to understand every bit of this, right? In order to be relevant, in order to scale, in order to be of value to our clients and property owners, we need to do everything we can to keep ourselves educated on all the opportunities that exist. And so that's our goal with this webinar series, to keep growing it, to keep bringing value, and to keep you educated so you're relevant in this industry.
Excellent. Let's get started with the presentation then. Thanks. So our value add brokerage, especially in New York City, includes compliance as a service for New York City Local Law 97. Now, I know that some of you don't fully understand what the law is about. We're going to be getting to that in a moment. But suffice it to say that compliance as a service includes full compliance with New York City Local Law 97, utilizing 100% creative financing to pay for all of the related soft and hard costs of a smart building upgrade, which is truly extraordinary because it's very difficult to finance soft costs in general. But when packaged together as part of our program, we can bring 100% financing such that the property owner does not have to write a check to get started with their compliance program. Next, please. So our compliance or upgrade program, and by the way, we offer this as compliance as a service in New York City. We also will be offering this to all the large urban centers throughout the country. Outside of New York City, it'll simply be our smart building upgrade program with the same 100% financing that won't have to go as far as in New York City with the particular local law 97 requirements. So our compliance or upgrade program includes 3 phases. Phase 1 is a cost savings phase. And in this phase of our program, what is really truly extraordinary is we have a number of leading edge vendors lined up who have cost saving strategies with no out-of-pocket cost and no obligation to the owner. It's just, we're looking for various ways to save the owner money. We believe this is the best way to get started, to show our value and to show our credibility to our clients. In fact, this next Thursday on the 26th, we have a webinar that's focused on Local Law 97 that will be specifically looking at the array of cost-saving strategies that we have to provide in our first phase of our program. So phase 2 of our program is when we actually start to work on the building. We can start phase 2 along with phase 1 for those owners who feel comfortable moving forward with us. Otherwise, we'll do it sequentially. In phase 2 is typically when a building owner will have to sign some agreements, most importantly with the lender or lenders that they choose to engage with. And again, we have a network of lenders, and so we use different strategies for different projects. So this is when we begin to work on the building, when we do, in particular, energy efficiency upgrades. We typically like to start with the shell of the building to optimize its performance by tightening up the shell with greater air sealing and insulation. Once that happens, we're going to significantly lower our heating and cooling loads such that if we're going to install new HVAC equipment, we can downsize the HVAC equipment because of the higher performing shell and thus lower the first cost of the HVAC equipment, which will more than pay off the extra costs for the building shell. So in any event, once we start doing this upgrade of the energy efficiency performance of the building, the great thing from the perspective of the building owner, and it's going to turn out for us, we agents as well, is that we will begin to lower operating expenses in the building. And as you know, as you should know, we'll go into this a little more detail in a moment, when you lower operating expenses in the building, you will absolutely increase net operating income. And when you increase net operating income, you increase valuation. So it is, and the beauty for us agents is when we increase valuation of a building, if we are going to help sell the building, our fees grow as well. So it's in all of our interests, especially when we're working with a seller, to work together to optimize the performance of the building, improve energy efficiency, lower costs, increase NOI and valuation. And we're all winners by that. So after we make the building more efficient, we move into phase 3, which is when we do clean power installations. It never makes sense to install clean power technologies on inefficient buildings. You'll overspend, you'll put in too much technology. This is really part of a whole integrated program that builds on itself as we go through the program. And it's just packed with value. Next, please. So Local Law 97, this is arguably the most aggressive building-related climate legislation in the world. And so New York City is really going to be the beacon, not only nationally, but internationally, in showing the world how large urban centers can move towards very low carbon, if not towards carbon neutrality. This law, Local Law 97, which was passed in 2019, which officially begins in 2024, affects buildings greater than 25,000 square feet in all 5 boroughs of New York City. It's estimated that there are about 60,000 buildings in New York City that will have to comply with this law. It sets increasingly stringent limits on carbon emissions per square foot in 2024, and then even more so in 2030. By 2030, there is to be a 40% reduction in carbon emissions from all these 60,000 buildings. And by 2050, 80% reduction of carbon emissions, which will bring all New York City larger commercial buildings into alignment with the Paris Accord and the carbon emission reduction strategies set by it. There is flexibility. You can, in New York, for Local Law 97, you can use renewable energy credits and emission offsets, especially for projects, clean power projects that are being done within the city itself. There's a new Office of Building Energy and Emissions Performance at Department of Buildings that will be managing and overseeing the program. And there are very significant penalties we're going to get to in a moment for lack of compliance. Next, please. So a covered building is a building that has to comply. And again, these are privately owned buildings that exceed 25,000 gross square feet. And yes, multifamily residential buildings that are above 25,000 square feet are in fact covered buildings. If you've got 2 or more buildings on the same tax lot that exceed 50,000 gross square feet, they are covered, and 2 or more buildings held in a condominium form of ownership that are governed by the same board of managers together exceed 50,000 gross square feet would in fact be covered. Next, please. There are, of course, the buildings that are not covered under this law. Utility plants, electrical generating and steam plants, buildings not more than 3 stories with no HVAC system, city-owned buildings, electrical generating and steam plants, and the likes. So where most buildings are, there are some buildings that are not, most notably religious organizations do not, and their buildings do not have to comply with this law. Next, please. So starting in May of 2025 is when the first annual report must be issued. They will give a 60-day period for providing that report, but delaying the report further than that will lead to fines that we'll get into in a moment. So that'll be every year by a licensed real estate or, by a licensed architect or licensed engineer. That report will have to be provided by building owners whose buildings are covered. Next, please. So the fines, this is what's really, really, really powerful here. These are fines that are can be really quite high for those building owners who do not comply at all with the law. So first and foremost, failure to report the annual report within 60 days of the deadline will lead to a fine of 50 cents per square foot per month. So a 100,000 square foot building would be fined $50,000 per month for failure to provide the report. Making a false statement on the report is a misdemeanor, and it carries a penalty of $500,000. And for owners of buildings that exceed the annual emission limits, there's a fine of $268 per ton per year. Large commercial buildings can have thousands of tons of carbon emissions that will exceed these limits. So together, these fines can add up to more than $1 million a year for large buildings. there's more than enough impetus then behind these laws and more than, and big enough teeth to get these building owners motivated to move forward. And next, please. So there's another perhaps even bigger new development in commercial real estate that is truly remarkable. It's referred to as ESG, environmental social governance scoring. Now we've heard of ESG scoring for corporations for quite some time. Now, for a first time, it's going to be applied to commercial buildings, and all commercial buildings throughout the United States are going to be getting an ESG score. And what is truly extraordinary and really, really powerful is that an ESG score will effectively be the same as a FICO score. So a low ESG score on a commercial building will literally lower the value of that building, which is huge. So between the ESG compliance or the ESG component and then local law 97 compliance, between the two of those, you have extraordinary motivation for building owners to upgrade their buildings to 21st century standards. Next, please. So here is, for those of you who don't know this simple equation, this is basically for the commercial real estate agent and for commercial real estate buyers and sellers and owners. There is no more important equation than this, which is the value of the building equals the net operating income divided by the cap rate. So if you do something in a building to increase the net operating income or you do something in the building to lower the cap rate, you will increase the value. And this is where the magic happens. This is where the value add brokerage comes into play. And this is where EXP is so extraordinary and so unique, because together with EXP, we have the opportunity of integrating a smart building upgrade program for local law 97 or an upgrade for an ESG upgrade as an integral part of the sales transaction process. And the beauty, again, if we agents are representing a seller and we work to bring our program and to start making the building more efficient and lowering their expenses and increase their NOI. And by the way, if we're also moving towards complying with local law 97, not only would we increase the NOI, we would also decrease the cap rate somewhat. All this will go to increase the value of the building. After we do this work, then we can put the building on the market at a higher valuation. And when we sell it at that higher valuation, hallelujah, we agents get a higher fee. So it's win-win for all of us. We can also offer this program to buyers. We have to offer that, of course, after the closing. So the value proposition isn't as great for us, but still tremendous value proposition. So, so much great, amazing, really unique opportunities now for commercial real estate agents. But by all means, please now listen to the presentation that Stephanie has on EXP and the really, truly unique, extraordinary opportunity that EXP represents for commercial brokers and agents.
Thank you, Robert. I love your knowledge. And, that's the first thing I'm going to point out about this brokerage that we've built across this entire nation, operating in all 50 states, because of people like you that we're doing business with, and we get to collaborate, we get to learn from one another. And it's simple the way we're able to do that. With EXP Commercial, we're not only built for commercial real estate and business opportunities, but ancillary services just with what you introduced today. Another way of thinking, another way to bring value to the client, another way for all of us to win business in this industry. I don't know about you, Robert, but I have spent my entire career making sure that my toolkit is more powerful than me by myself, right? When my partners in business look and do great things, it makes me look great and do great things, which makes me win business. And that's how we've been able to, without any brick and mortar across this entire country, operate in our metaverse and build these relationships and work together each and every day. You learn and you're strong by who you surround yourself with. And we just choose to surround ourselves with people like you, Robert, that can bring educational value to us so that we all scale in this industry.
Mhm.
You know, EXP Commercial, we are one national brokerage across all 50 states. We operate in additional 21 countries. We're not a franchise, so we're not sitting around in offices in silos, right? We are in a metaverse. We are doing meetings like this. We are educating to the masses. Even if they're not in our brokerage, we still want to educate. We want to bring value to this industry. We want to get it to the 21st century. And I think a lot of us in commercial can agree there hasn't really been much industry changes, improvements. Everybody's a little dated, so to speak. And so we're utilizing that technology to push us forward to make sure that each and every one of our brokers and agents are armed with value, a way to bring value to the client, to win more client, and to really have a great future in this industry. We have got agents right here in America doing deals in Dominican Republic, in India, in Spain, in France. The entire globe is our farmland. We're not limited to the local culture of what most commercial brokers focus on. We have expanded our network. We've been able to scale at a rate that no one else has been able to do because of being that one global brokerage. You know, it's an easy value prop, especially when I speak to other commercial agents in this industry that are paying a 50-50 split. Ours is simple. It's an 80-20 split, but it's a $20,000 cap. That's it. $20,000 cap, meaning you're never going to pay EXP Commercial more than $20,000 of your gross commission income. That's it. This is a company owned by the agents. We all earn stock in the company. And so we choose to operate lean and mean, valuing, giving the value that we can. When I owned my independent brokerage, which I brought the entire thing into EXP, I was spending over $3,000 per month per agent on technology tools. These are the same tools we're providing to all of our agents and brokers at EXP Commercial for $250 a month. Tools that push us into the 21st century, that enable us to do business the way we need to do business. Those tools include build out for our OMs and offering memorandums. Those include national access to data so that we have everything that we need to move forward in this industry. We don't have to be subject to third-party companies holding us hostage with this value proposition. And $250 a month to get everything on this screen is absolutely unheard of. It just absolutely is. EXP's enriched data alone is data that covers 12 times the data offered by the big company that we all had to be married to at one way, shape, or form in this industry. But here at EXP Commercial, we don't have to do that. We can do business in all 50 states because we honor that license portability, and we've got the forms to do any type of commercial transaction, no matter where it's located in this country. We are a paperless company making business fast and easy because that's what it's all about. How do we scale? How do we get exposure for our listings? How do we increase the level at where our listings are displayed? It's by building syndication relationships with those partners that you see on this screen. And every single week, we're adding logos to the slide. It's going to end up that we're going to have 20 of these slides, Robert, and I'm going to have to minimize it. But that's what we do. When I'm not on these types of calls or speaking to other brokers in this industry sharing this model, I am sitting with technology companies on how can they bring more value to us to move this company forward, to make sure that our agents are productive, to have off-market opportunities, to show them exactly how to generate listings, leads, buyers, and so forth, because this technology is that. It's a lead generator. We've built the ability for each and every one of our agents to be an ESG scorer on any piece of property in America. I'll repeat, we've built the technology for all of our agents and brokers to be able to do ESG scores on any piece of property in America. Think about the value prop in that. Think about how you now have another way to get into the door to start the relationship. All of real estate is nothing but a relationship business. It always has been. So it's our job to give you as many ways to start those relationships as possible. You know, when I got into the industry, I was taught, here's the white pages, cold call, cold call. Well, I choose to live by the term of warm call. I want a reason to call somebody. And so we've built the system to give each and every one of our agents and brokers a reason to call, whether it's the building needs an ESG score, or whether it is that the loan is coming due and what is their plans. Maybe it's a way to bring value with the local law 97 and what Robert presented earlier. There's so many ways to drive revenue in this industry. It's just the other companies aren't sharing that or teaching that. Why? Because they've never built systems that actually do it. And so next slide, Katie, if you don't mind. Equity opportunities. This is what I love about it. Everyone said when I brought my brokerage over to eXp Commercial, why'd you give up your brokerage? No, I didn't give up my brokerage. I took my brokerage, I put it on this platform, and now I am a shareholder in a multi-billion dollar publicly traded company with zero debt. I've taken my brand and I've kept it. We want you to brand. We want you to elevate. We want you to be the person doing the deals and getting the recognition for it. And because of that, we want you to earn stock in this company. We want you to be an owner of this company. We all collaborate so well because we're business partners. We're not in the same office. We're business partners all around the globe. And business partners work with each other to build each other. And that's the difference in the core values and the collaboration. We're not in competition. We're all here to elevate one another. And then you're able to still have that same model as a broker owner by collecting overrides on agents, but you don't have the overhead and you don't have the liability. You don't have the necessity to have to build all the systems and train it. So think about this. eXp Commercial is a way for everyone to sit in that ownership seat without the overhead and without the liability and without having to be the innovator. Next slide, Katie. Everyone is able to be compensated on growing this company. I don't know how many times I have this conversation where I had 7 yesterday where I asked this question and I said, okay, you're at XYZ firm. Have you ever brought a friend into the business? Oh yeah, absolutely. What do you get for that? A plaque? Well, yes, yeah, plaque or just a thank you. Thank you for growing our business. Well, here we pay you for that, right? It's not just the one broker owner up here that's making the income. It's everybody, the entire company. That's why we're scaling. That's why we're the fastest growing commercial brokerage to ever launch in history. We're working in a metaverse. I don't think local law 97 we need any improvements with. We've already built the best, highest scored office all around the globe, and it's called the metaverse. And in here, we're educating one another. We're collaborating. We're doing deals. We're bringing off-market opportunities. We are building each other in this metaverse, and that is how we're operating. But also, Robert, we have built the best systems about training. We want everyone. I don't care if you've been in the business 30 years and you know everything there is to know about commercial real estate. You probably don't know how to really lead generate, how to utilize the technology, how to build your brand on social media and become somebody, how to elevate that. We're teaching all of that inside of this metaverse. My favorite thing, though, is we can allow juniors to come to this company. When I got into this industry, when I was 21 years old, I was told no over and over and over again. Nobody wanted to put time into me. They didn't want to train me. They didn't want to start at ground zero with me. So I fumbled. I got to the place where we could build this amazing platform with all of our business partners, all of these shareholders, and build the Accelerate program so that anyone that has the desire and the real estate license that wants to be successful in commercial real estate has a program that gets them there. I always say, sitting in the seminar is one piece of it. And we all need to sit in the seminars and we all need to learn to speak. We need to learn the systems. We need to learn the processes and we need to know how to win business. But the next slide shows us that you have to go to the gym and lift the weights in order to see the muscle. And so not only are we having them in that seminar format and we're learning to speak and we're teaching them everything there is to be successful, but then we're lining them up with a senior advisor that actually handholds them through the process of working on the deal. Because we're a company of collaboration, we have this tremendous sister company called eXp Realty, residential, 81,000 residential agents that don't do commercial, that are referring billions and billions of dollars of volume right over to eXp Commercial. We can grab those, we can work through it with these advisors, with these juniors, and level up everyone's business. Robert, 42% of real estate agents still to this day do not have health care. And it's because it's expensive, right? They don't have group opportunity plans. They don't get to save money. They're not corporate employees. They're not even W-2. They're 1099, which means we're all treated differently. So EXP built our own healthcare system to where anybody today, anytime you want, can go to EXP Agent Healthcare and get a quote. Whether you're thinking about joining us or not, go do this piece of it. Because not only are we the 20K cap, but we're also saving people thousands upon thousands of dollars every single year on healthcare. Workplace is tremendous, Robert. As soon as you plugged into EXP Commercial, you immediately got access to not only EXP Commercial, but all of EXP Realty. And this is where the collaboration is happening. Every 12 minutes, there's a referral put up. Literally every 6 minutes, there's an opportunity of something that's off market that we're sharing and we're building one another, and it's our workplace. Robert, I am so glad that you're one of my business partners. I'm so glad that people of value with your knowledge see the value in EXP Commercial, and together with so many other people, we are starting to grow, we're starting to scale. Now we're bringing these webinars to the Zoom format, to the webinar format, so that they can see what we're doing inside of our metaverse every single day.
And just to pick up on that, and you know, you always do such a great job, Stephanie. And I just want to say again, I personally am so grateful to you and Jim for having built out this extraordinary company in such a short period of time. It's remarkable. I've been an entrepreneur for years now, and wow, I know how long things can take to build, and it's just amazing how quickly this came up and how much has come together. And I know, and for me, I think I told you this, that, you know, with my experience in New York City in commercial brokerage, I was sort of in the desert for quite some time, being at these firms where, frankly, they didn't get me. They just didn't get my value add that I had to bring, and you know, the whole, and my passion for smart buildings and smart building upgrades and development and the likes. And they were what I like to say, living and working in the 20th century. The old stodgy, you know, very kind of chunky, you know, big, you know, offices and the likes, and taking a huge part, of course, of the commission. So, you know, to come into now EXP is just been extraordinary for me. I feel like, you know, the proverbial, you know, letting my wings, you know, out, and you know, and the partnership that I'm able to create between Green Street NYC, that I've been working on one or the other for about 20 years, and EXP, and to help both of us together, it's really fantastic. It's extraordinary. And our value add brokerage for anybody who's in commercial real estate today is really, frankly, it's not going to get any better anywhere else. I can guarantee that. So I'm not sure. I think if there's any questions that anyone has, I think we can answer that now.
And I just want to add too, Robert, for anybody listening, and you know, this will go throughout our podcast. You know, we're going to make sure that we put this out there because it is a value. You know, and if one or two people or 40 people watch this and understand how to represent real estate in New York, or even ESG scoring as a whole, we've done our job, right? We've done our job to bring these ideas to the forefront. Because it's those of us that jump on now that are going to be the most educated when it really matters, and when those fines start happening. You know, everybody in this world runs behind the 8 ball,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always wanted to be on the forefront of anything. And I think that's why the first time, you know, we joke about this, but the first time that I met you via Zoom, it was like, what is this? Did we meet on some type of platform that set us up? Because we understood what each other were saying. And I've spent so many years in this industry, you know, and even just the last several months talking about ESG, and everybody's looking at me like I'm got antennas growing out of my forehead. And here you are, you got it, you know about it, and you know even more about the local law 97 and what that's going to do. So, you know, how does the ESG align with the Paris Accord, Robert?
Well, that's a really good question. And what I would say is that ESG, the phenomena of ESG for buildings, is all part of the historic transformation that's happening, not just to real estate, but to, you know, global economies. And, you know, global economies are all moving inexorably towards the triple bottom line. You know, and then up until the 20th century, all that counted was the single bottom line. All that counted was, you know, a corporation made money, made profits, distributed those profits to their shareholders, and that was it. Well, in the 21st century, with our climate crisis, with growing, you know, social upheaval and the likes, everything's moving towards triple bottom line: profit, people, planet. So, you know, the Paris Accord, of course, is strictly targeted towards lowering carbon and methane emissions. And really, in many ways, Local Law 97 is much more aligned with the Paris Accord, because those goals of 80% reduction by 2050 is exactly taken from the Paris Accord. Now, with the ESG, there is an energy component, but it's not as stringent. There are not the kind of absolute reduction requirements, at least not as of now. Over time, there very well might, and no doubt ESG is going to evolve over time. What I believe we believe is going to happen is that ESG is a fantastic way to open up the door for agents to meet owners, and that's the goal for us. We want to be direct to owners, because then we can represent them in all kinds of different ways. And so if you're in New York City, you could start with the ESG, do the ESG audit, get them their score. Likely their score will be somewhat, you know, lower than they would like, such that they would lower the building valuation. Then you can start doing the upgrade. But in New York City, you're going to want to do an ESG upgrade in the larger context of a Local Law 97 of compliance. So that's where Green Street NYC comes in, because we have this whole program that will collaborate and coordinate both of those together. This is also going to be the case in the large other urban centers in the country, like Chicago, LA, Atlanta, Detroit, Boston. In these dense urban centers, there is a movement towards actually carbon neutrality. So what I would say is that ESG and Local Law 97 are highly, they work together. They synergize together. But really, Local Law 97 is much more targeted towards the goals of the Paris Accord.
Awesome. I love those questions. We are going to be back next week, and we're going to have a special guest talking about ESG scoring and the education behind that, and how everybody gets up to speed with ESG. These are things that we teach every single day inside of eXp Commercial, and we want to bring them out to the public so that you have an opportunity to see what it is that we're doing behind the scenes. So another great episode, Robert. Thanks for putting this together and being my co-host, and I look forward to next week.
So do I. I'm really enjoying this, and as you can tell, I love what we're doing at Green Street NYC. I love what we're doing with eXp Commercial, and I love what we're doing together. So thank you so much, everyone. And we'll see you next week.
Tune in next time.